Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm back on BV, I'm Hangin' Loose, episode 11, and I'm down here in Port Melbourne at Mirat with Director of Navtel, Simon Pierce. I met Simon a long time ago, ex-CIO, made a transition now in the innovation space and the technology space with EasyMile. I'm sitting here in this studio, we can call it a studio. It is a wireless vehicle, it's a driverless vehicle. I can't even get my words straight. Wireless, driverless. And welcome, mate. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. Not only is it driverless, it is wireless, so the no cables connect yet. But what a absolutely fantastic location down at Mirat Port, where all of these vehicles in front of us, you might be able to see in the distance, they come in off the ships. And the point of the driverless vehicle taking the driven vehicles is they need somebody to ferry the people around who are getting them off the boat. So we're down here today, we're doing a demonstration, a live demonstration of this vehicle operating in a high traffic area. So we've got ships, we've got trucks, we've got army vehicles, all of it's here. And we're proving the technology is working in this environment. And Mirat's thrilled, they kind of come down, very skeptical people going, is this real? It's real, we're here, we've been delivering it.
And Simon has just taken over the Hangin' Loose episode 11. I'm out of here, only joking. Fantastic, it's sensational. You've really painted a picture, mate, of where we are and what's going on, mate. It's good to catch up with you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
You've been well?
Yeah, really good, really good.
So you made the transition from, head role at DKSH and a number of other organisations, including Transdev. You're now the director of Navtel. We're sitting here in this EasyMile vehicle. So tell me, I want to talk about the innovation. I think innovation is something that I've had a lot of experience with in the business I've been involved with Bell Surfwax, Engage Technology Group, the Future Phase, and I hear so many stories about different products being innovated, and I think most innovation projects come from a start of a friction point and solving problems around whether it's a customer or whatever it may be. So tell me, how did this all start? Why are we sitting in this beast?
Yeah, so I suppose it goes a little bit back to what I saw at Transdev. So being the CEO of Transdev, I've been in senior roles for 20 odd years. And what became really apparent to me during that time is there's no first mile, last mile connection for public transport. You get out of your house, you have to walk 1 kilometre, 2 kilometres to a bus stop. You don't know when the bus is turning up. You don't know when it's going to be there. It turns up, it's smelly, it's tardy. It does this route that's ridiculously long to take you 5 minutes down the road. And what I realised is the future of transport and the future of shared transport is going to be this first mile, last mile. And what clicked in my head one day is, it came back to me, aeroplanes. We've got these A380s, which are huge, and they're flying all around the world. But the Boeing strategy was a little bit cleverer. So what they did is they said, we're going to use a hub and smoke model. Today in public transport in Melbourne, we have 12.5 metre buses, and the average patronage is 6 people. So I realised there was a market there. I realised there was something that's not being served. So you said it, the friction point. Cost, convenience and time. Most people, the traffic's getting worse. This morning it took me 2 hours to get here from my house. What if you could get into an automated vehicle, you get taken to a trunk route, you come on a high-speed train and you're driven the last mile. I mean, that is the vision of the future.
Yeah.
So we're in this phase, and what I saw is that there's a market there. There's something that nobody else has thought of that we need to now make reality.
Sure. And just for the viewers out there, first mile, last mile, what are you actually referring to when you speak about first mile, last mile?
So what I'm talking about is, you might travel 100 kilometres, but you park your car at a train station at an airport. To get to that, you need to get on a bus, which is 1 kilometre or 2 kilometres, 3 kilometres, 5 kilometres. And that's what we call the last mile. So it's actually that last area of getting to your destination that's generally not covered.
Yeah. And
it's not covered for a number of reasons. So tramways are really expensive. Sydney light rail, 2.2 billion to run it up George Street when you could have an automated vehicle on a segregated lane now for a lot less.
Right.
Buses, a 12.5 metre bus down a residential street in suburban Melbourne, it's taking up the whole road. So taking that to a trunk route where you can then get on a high-speed transport, that's really the future that I see.
Interesting. I mean, I don't even know when go to the airport and jump on a flight, when you're actually sitting on the plane in the comfort of your seat, you've got headphones on, you're chilling out, phones off. That's quite an enjoyable experience, but it's getting from the car park.
Exactly.
Through check-in, through putting luggage in, getting on board the plane, it's all that stuff. Getting from the car park, and if anyone's parked in the long-term parking at Melbourne Airport,
good luck.
It's a mission. And I'm generally travelling around with like surfboards or snowboards and like kids and like
it.
just a full mission, right?
Yeah. And you know, and that's the point of it, and then that's one use. The other one is where you've got an area. So we've got 3 of these vehicles in Singapore in Gardens by the Bay, and you know, it's a theme park really. It's not a garden, it's a theme park. But they're really clever in what they use it to. They have it actually as a running tour, so they have commentaries. They're going around, and as they're going around, they say to people, and at this stop you can get off at the Dome. At this stop you can go and see this rare orchid or something. So they're using it to attract people in. So it's also that, you know, attraction of a small circuit, bringing people along, but also, you know, my favourite is Docklands. You know, you go down to Docklands, there's no public transport. You know, there's a tram, and other than that, good luck. What if there was something that could pick you up at Southern Cross and actually take you to a restaurant that you wanted to go to? You're more likely to go.
Yeah.
So increasing people getting to restaurants and getting to shopping malls is a key part of what these are about. And we've done that in France, we've done that in Taiwan and Japan, so it's worked really, really well.
Amazing. Super cool. So there was a customer friction point, first mile, last mile. What went into actually the research and development in terms of actually putting one of these things together? I mean, like, how did you go through that process? What was the testing process? Yeah. Was there any type of engagement or consultation with users who were potentially going to use it? How did that all play out?
So the first 2 years was purely research and development, you know, getting the technology right. We're actually leveraging off technology that's 20, 30 years old, to be honest.
Okay.
It's robotics, it's automation, it's in factories today that, you know, create pharmaceuticals, it creates food for us. So what we realised is we've got this fantastic automation technology, and we saw the gap in the market. So originally it was a company that was building robots for hospitals, but we quickly realised there's not much of a market there. But what we did realise is this friction point you talk about, which is the first mile, last mile. There's a lot of issues, and it all came from a gentleman called Gilbert Gagnère, who was at an airport, and he said, why can't I just get on a bus and it just takes me to my terminal? Why am I having to go through all this hassle and, you know, family, and can't get on? And that's where it all started. So from there, it's gone over the years to get it to where it is today. So this is a third generation vehicle now.
Okay.
The first prototype was pretty rough by design. So, you know, the nice plastic didn't exist. It was more of a black plastic. The nice wooden seats didn't exist. It was more of a fabric. You know, so... Come
on, mate. I'm picturing a Johnny Cab out of Total Recall.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
it was Johnny Cab. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. It was Johnny Cab.
Because I kind of feel that like that. I feel like I'm in Total Recall, you know, when you get a Johnny Cab and he's spinning around and there's driverless cars, and it feels like that.
Yeah, it's a bit of Johnny Cab, but we haven't called it Johnny Cab because we had a few issues with infringement rights on the name, but that was the first name. But to go through that process,
you
know, it's a 4-year process, and you know, the technology's there, and you know, we've just driven around this port, and you've probably seen that there's buses whizzing around and all sorts of things. But the challenges we've got is about people accepting it. So it's a new technology, it's something people aren't used to. And if you cast your mind back in the 70s and 80s, there were these people called elevator operators. And what do? The lifts we're getting today, and we go up and down, they used to sit there and hit the button.
With the stool, and they press the button for you.
Sit on the stool, hit the button, you know.
They still do that at Melbourne Park at the tennis when you go there. Yeah, there's someone sitting on a stool and they press the button to go up and down.
Fantastic. I think they're the only elevator operator left in the world. So we're in that phase where, you know, we've gone through the changing of the fit out. We've taken customers' feedback. So part of our deployments were we asked customers to give us feedback on, well, what do you like, what don't you like?
Yeah.
And there's innovations come out of that. So we used to have you know, when we're manually driving the vehicle, a wired controller. We've got a wireless one now. They wanted dual air conditioning. Got dual air conditioning. They said, hey, 6 hours running battery is not enough. We need 12. So we had to look at the batteries, the technology. They said, if there's an object on the road, we want it to go around that. We don't want to have to manually drive it and get out and move things. So it's got technology to go around objects now. So it's a continual iterative process. It's always going back to the customer. What do you like? What don't you like? And some of the things that, you know, we never thought of have come from our customers that we've now changed.
Sure.
And it just takes those iterations going back. And what we realise is, you know, the pain point from where we were to where we are now, it's gone. And it's only the start. So taking this technology and applying it to different vehicles is very much on the radar now.
So with that specifically, who are your customers for this type of product, and how did you go about that consultation process to get that feedback? How did that all play out?
So,
because I think it's important for the viewers or anyone in innovation to understand some of the steps, whether or not it's bringing a brand new product to market or refining and innovating an existing product. that methodology behind it. So there's initially the customer friction point, first mile, last mile, and there's consultation with the prospects and customers. So tell me how that actual process sort of played out.
Yeah, sure. So I talked about Gardens by the Bay, and Gardens by the Bay, was one of the first customers, and it was pretty much a non-profit project. We used it as our test bed for research. So for them, it was an attraction, getting people to get on a vehicle, getting numbers in the door.
Yeah.
For us, it was a test bed to test out, well, what's the capability of this vehicle, what's the limits, what do they like, what don't they like. That's been running 4 years now, and we're still running those same vehicles on location. So we've now taken a new generation to them and said, okay, here's the second round. It's now moved into a paid project. So once you get kind of the runs on the board from that, what we call a test bed, we've now moved into live projects. And who are the customers? Ports like this where they have 30 vans running around moving people 24 hours a day and they're paying drivers. It's a perfect fit. Public transport corporations. Up in Queensland, they've got islands that have no buses on them, but they've got 150 homes. There's no public transport, so it's ideal for where you don't want to have a bus driver. We've got private sites, so in Japan, Denso, they've got huge factories which move workers around.
Yeah.
They pay for people with buses to move that around, but it's only limited hours. So we've extended that now to run 24/7.
Yeah.
So you've kind of got the theme park, you've got the government customer, you've got the private side, and then you've got the attraction.
Yep.
So you've got a lot of different customers. But what we had to really work out is people didn't know that they needed something like this. So what we found is we go to a customer and say, we've got an automated vehicle, okay, great. But we had to take our time with them, understanding their problem. So it always comes back to the problem. If I could do this for you, what does that mean? Oh wow, that changes everything. And seeing is believing. So people don't know they need something until they've got it. It's a little bit like when the iPhone came out and everybody didn't need a touchscreen phone until they worked out how great it was. And it's a little bit like once you're addicted, they love it. They don't want to let it go.
Yeah.
So universities is another key area for us, and Monash, we've been talking for a while. They weren't really sure. We took a vehicle there, and now they said, hey, we need 5. And it's getting them to taste that product. It's tasting the forbidden chocolate cake. Once you had a taste, you want it.
I had a taste the other week when we first caught up, and I was in one, and I was blown away by just some of the metrics and some of the the imagery here and the satellite navigation and how detailed it is, where it's actually a leaf on a tree is actually reflected by a pixel on the screen here. So what is that technology? What's driving it? Like, what is actually... I won't be able to understand it, right? In the tech industry.
It's really simple. So if you come back to human beings, we have various senses. We have eyes, we have ears, we have smell, we have taste, we have touch. So a vehicle we need to equip with all of those senses, because if you base it on the human body, we get around quite well. So we have a number of different technologies, not so much the taste, but the rest of it we've got. We've got LiDARs on each corners, which is essentially a light laser. So it maps an area, it's for obstacle detection. And it does that by sending light images around. So ultraviolet light will hit all of these objects around, and it will reflect back, and we know that there's an object there. So we have 3 layers of LiDARs, one on the ground, a 3D one in the middle, and one on the roof. And these can see 220 meters down the road. So it's not looking in front, it's actually, it can see that ship in the background right now.
Yep.
Now, if you're a normal driver, you're never going to see something like that. So that's the first layer. The second layer we have is camera. So we have a camera equipped in the vehicle, just up here. And again, that's used for tracking obstacles, looking around. We've got GPS, accurate to 5 millimeters. So where this vehicle runs, it's accurate to 5 millimeters on every run. And if you run enough around an area, and you can kind of see on the road there, Brent, the tyre tracks, you can actually see it in exactly the same spot where that vehicle's run across the white line. So it's accurate, it will run that every time. We lay over the top of that with sonar. So we also have sonar on the vehicle. And finally...
It's like a dolphin sensor.
Dolphin sensor. So
Echo the dolphin.
We're a dolphin vehicle.
Flipper.
Eco-friendly.
Flipper.
Flipper. But also on top of that, we use odometry, so we know exactly how far the vehicle's travelled. Up to 5 millimeters. So with all of those, we combine it into a fusion. So think the human brain. We take all of the information in from our sensors, we put it in our head, and we actually know how to coordinate around an area. If you don't have your eyesight, you can't see where you're going, but you can kind of fumble around. So for us, making sure all of those work together is really, really important, because that's what creates this fusion of the technology.
Yeah. Mate, you touched on something that was something I'm super passionate about, it's the environment. What does this actually do for the environment? How are we actually saving the environment or reducing our fossil fuel emission, etc., etc.?
So our view's really simple. There's more cars on the road, and if we automate the existing vehicles, you're just going to put more cars on the road, because what it means is I can put my 2 daughters in a car and send it to school. But it's not going to fix our problem. So what we need to talk about is shared autonomous public transport that's electric. So the idea of, if we're all travelling in the same direction, you can book it on your phone. There's 6 businessmen going to Melbourne, we book it on our phone, we jump onto the vehicle, we don't have the first mile, last mile problem, and it takes us the entire way. That takes 6 cars down to 1. So if we have this on a mass scale, mass transit, high-speed rail, fully autonomous, the idea is that we take cars off the road. We don't need as many cars. You don't buy a car anymore. You get it as a service.
Yep.
It's Uber, but on a mass scale and at an affordable rate. So if you want a private Uber, so if we're travelling down to our office, we could actually be doing this interview live while it's running on the road.
Yeah, sure.
You can use it as a meeting room.
Yeah.
But the idea is that we're condensing the number of vehicles, and you buy it as you need it, not you buy a capital asset that sits there, leaches all into the ground, sucks petrol and natural resources. You know, we've got to move away from that. It's
yeah.
The planet can't sustain it anymore. And as I look around the yard, the irony of all of this is a lot of these cars that have been brought in are going to be extinct, and that's actually what we're making redundant.
Yeah,
it's
it's a classic.
So, you know, this is a new technology challenging the old technology, but right now we're going to, you know, the deployment here is actually supporting the old technology, but it will change.
Very interesting, isn't it? So the battery, the run on battery, yeah?
Yeah, so battery powered.
Yep.
14 hours of autonomy, so they can run for 14 hours.
Yep.
4.5 hours to charge, and then they can run for another 12 to 14 hours.
Okay. So I think about, like, obviously when I start thinking of battery, I think about Tesla and think about their cars and their vehicles.
Yep.
So they're positioned their place in the marketplace. So where does this really sit?
Yeah.
So I mean, you spoke to some of the use cases before. Will this complement Tesla's vehicles, or how will it all work?
No, so this is the first of a new generation. So to offset this, there's also autonomous trams we've developed.
Okay.
So full-size trams that are fully autonomous that run on a track. A 12.5 metre bus. So a full-size bus that's automated.
So shared, it's very much shared.
Autonomous public transport or personalised. But if you want the personalised one, you've got to pay more. So the idea is that, you know, you're not going to always take your own vehicle because that defeats the purpose, but the idea is to incentivise people to share where you can.
Yeah.
To use that time where you can instead of sitting on the road. We're developing an airport tractor, so same thing, moving luggage around an airport. So you're starting to see the cusp of all of this happening. And what you'll also see is, you know, we kind of refuse to make the Johnny Cab actually. So the smaller 4-person vehicle, we don't see any point because it's not fixing the problem. It's just going to add more vehicles to the road.
Sure.
This is the smallest vehicle we're going to do.
Right.
We're not going to do any smaller because otherwise, what's the point? You're just going to create more congestion. Ours is about untangling, you know, 100 years of vehicle legacy.
Yeah, that's it. That's the nuance, right? That's the difference. It's not like, okay, here's one car now that needs a manual driver, and now we're going to replace it with another vehicle.
Exactly.
That doesn't help the problem.
No. So the Monash is now 6 lanes each way. If all our kids had a vehicle, it's going to be 10 lanes each way. It's not fixing the root of the issue, and the root of the issue is the technology is not there historically, number one, but number two, we're used to one person jumping in a car and taking one for one. Sure. We're not used to sharing. Europe, they're way ahead. You know, they realise a lot of people don't own cars anymore. They use a share car, they use a bike, they use the high-speed rail. So you need the infrastructure to support it. So if I was to go from Paris to Toulouse, it's a 2.5-hour train ride. You know, that's the equivalent of Sydney to Melbourne. We just don't have that here.
Yeah.
You know, 14 hours on a train, nobody's going to do it. So we've got to support the ecosystem by this high-speed, integrated, door-to-door technology.
Yeah. I was in Netherlands a few months ago and I saw how much they're all riding bikes. They're all riding bikes around. And they're all getting around, they're all happy and they're exercising and it just works, right?
Yep.
So it's pretty incredible. So this model is the third reiteration?
Yeah, so this is the third iteration, so we can have 15 people in this vehicle.
Yep.
The technology has evolved to the point where, you know, we basically don't require any supervision. It can sort of run itself around.
Yep.
The lead time on the technology, you know, the sensors are going at a phenomenal rate. So the LiDARs, you know, the technology is already evolving to, you know, today we have 16 layer LiDARs, we're going to 128 layers. So the rate at which the hardware is evolving is phenomenal. So you'll see further advances in these vehicles. The first vehicle took 9 months to build a prototype.
Okay.
9 months, that's incredible really, when you consider there was nothing before it. So from a shell to a fully autonomous vehicle in 9 months, it's only going to increase, it's only going to change. You know, they're deployed around the world in 150 locations, so it's not sort of enclosed areas. This one in particular was running at Darwin Airport in open road. So running in with traffic, taxis, buses, crazy drivers like me in a Toyota Hilux behind it. You know, it's been tested and tried in these areas. So what we see is the people seeing it and going, actually, this is really great. Why can't we have it here?
Yeah.
It makes sense.
So innovation's an ever evolving journey. Are we already looking into the future? Is EasyMile already looking into the future of what's next, what they can actually do, different use cases?
Yeah. I mean, this is, you know, 4-year-old technology already. The technology we're looking at now is 8-seater luxury vehicles that will run around on open road at 80 to 100 kilometres. You know, that's actually where the technology is going. So this is a first mile, last mile, but what you'll see is the core trunk routes are going to be automated as well, come time. The big issue that, you know, it's an issue that people don't really know about is the fact that we don't have enough bus drivers. So today in Melbourne, every day in Melbourne, there's 40 bus drivers, less than we need to run the routes. So we don't really have an option. There's not going to be enough people. There's not to actually operate these networks. People don't become career bus drivers. So what do? You've got an average age of 62 years old as a bus driver. It's an aging population. We need to service people. So it's a little bit more than just a product. It's actually you know, this huge problem. Taiwan, Japan, massive aging populations. There's not going to be enough people to look after the aging population, and therefore we need to augment it with technologies like this. It can help, you know, the elderly get around to town. It can help them get around the retirement village. They don't need to own a car, so suddenly there's 50 cars off the road. And if you take that on a large scale, you know, it's not only touching the environment, but giving people the ability to be independent.
Yep.
And that's what we're focused on. That's really going to be the future. So we've got this sort of issue of this aging population, the new technology's coming, but we've got to get out there and try it and prove it.
Yep, 100%. What challenges have come up as you've been going to market with innovation? What have been some of the major? What's one of the major challenges you've had?
Government and regulation. So, you know, importing a vehicle like this into the country, you know, good old government. There's no steering wheel. So if you look around, you don't see a steering wheel. There's no pedals for a brake. There's no dashboard. So immediately we are non-compliant with vehicle import standards.
Right.
So we have to get exemptions. So we have an exemption to run this on the road. That process takes time. Governments don't understand the technology. They're quite slow to adapt. So number one is the governments adopting their regulation to be able to run it. And that's been a 4-year process. You know, the first meeting I had with Vic Roads was in November 2016, and they said this won't be on a road within 3 years. And one of the directors at Vic Roads ate humble pie when 6 months later we ran it on Cardigan Street in Carlton. So, you know, they have to change, they have to be more dynamic, or it's going to change them like Uber did in Queensland. So that dynamicness. The other one is people understanding the technology, and I talked about the lift operator. People get into a vehicle like this and they go, okay, great, I'm in, what do I do? I don't know how to operate it. Now, all it is you actually hit the green button and the vehicle shuts the door. Don't hit it now, or take off. But you hit the green button, the vehicle will go. But people don't know that. So when they get into a vehicle, well, what do I press? What do I do? And the other thing is, you know, people are scared of the technology. They're scared, you know, they think Terminator, they think it's going to just run off and, you know, Fast and Furious, somebody's going to hack it and drive around it. It just doesn't work like that. So if we're out more than 10 millimeters, the vehicle stops.
Yeah.
And that's how accurate we're down to running on the ground.
Yeah.
So adaptation of the technology, people understanding it, people using it. You know, the first time you got on, I think you kind of went, are you controlling this? Yeah. Really? No, you know, it's understanding that actually it's a machine controlling it. So they're the challenges we've got. But what I find is, and we've got on the roadshow around Australia, once people have it, they love it. It's a little bit like that chocolate cake I talked about. Once you've got it, you kind of, you know, you're on for 3 seconds and you're like, okay, there's no driver, whatever. It's just like a metro, it's just like a tram, it's just like a train.
And I was fortunate enough to do a hot lap, I call it a hot lap, around the dock here, and we pulled up next to a few cars over there, and it slowed down as it approached, it went through, and then the speed picked up again. So it's that type of confidence, I think, when once people have used it and seen it and been in it and experienced it, they're like, they feel comfortable.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So just to wrap up, mate, it's been fantastic, and thanks so much. I feel very privileged to be in here, being EasyMile, Mirat. Any business owners, let's just relate it back to business owners in the audience, or corporations, innovation, any last tips or thoughts around helping the viewers innovate? Anything you got, any like pearls of wisdom through the journey of EasyMile that you can share?
Yeah, I think the key is, you know, as you put it, what is the friction points in your customers? If you don't have friction points, you don't have a solution. So if everything's fantastic, you're not really going to get a solution, so you need to really deeply understand it. And sometimes they don't know there's friction points.
Sure, they don't.
You know, they don't understand that. So what I really recommend is you understand your customers, you sit in their shoes for a day, just say, hey, let's do this exploratory exercise, let's pick up points on what we can do. The second one is listen to your customers. You know, if you don't listen to your customers, you're not servicing their needs. You know, people complain about customers who are really, you know, demanding, and I don't. They're the best customers because they're engaged. You want them to react. If they don't react, you lost the business.
Yeah.
You know, if they don't say thanks or you don't hear anything, you got a problem, right? So understanding that they're your most valuable customers and they're the ones you should sit with and understand the most. And the other part is targeting your market. You know, things don't happen overnight. This has been a journey for me. So coming out of a very comfortable role in a multinational to a startup business that's, you know, it's hard, right? It's not easy. So you're going to have the ups, you're going to have the downs, you're going to have the days where you think, geez, what have I done?
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I could go back, and geez, how am I going to pay the rent next month? It gets better, and the key is to stick with it.
Yeah.
The key is to, you know, people will see your passion, people will see you want this to happen, and they get wound up in your enthusiasm, and it actually draws people to you. So, you know, never lose focus of your vision, always stay passionate. And probably the final thing is never stop improving. You know, you think you got the perfect product, you don't. Keep improving, keep evolving, think of new areas, think of new ways, because that innovation will drive your business model that will be outdated in 6 months. And you have to have that as a continual process where you become irrelevant. You know, you'll have a Kodak moment.
I heard they're coming back. I saw something about Kodak coming back. What were they doing? Something.
Hopefully not 35mm film.
No, definitely not. Mate, you've been awesome. Thanks so much for coming on the show. There's one last thing that everybody does is on the Hangin Loose show.
Yep.
And that's the Hawaiian Shaka. So do you know what the Hawaiian Shaka is?
No, you have to explain it to me.
Okay, so the Hawaiian Shaka is good feeling, sharing the love. So it's like, they're like this, that's the Shaka.
Yep.
Hangin Loose Shaka. And the you. Hang on, you gotta wait. So we're gonna stare down the barrel on that side. You ready? It's on, yeah, and that, and stare down the barrel down there. And we're just going to give the you to finish off the show. Ready? 1, 2, 3. You! Thanks, mate. You've been awesome.
Thanks very much.
Simon Pierce, this is Easy Mile. Wireless transport, it's coming. Driverless transport. No more Johnny Cabs. This is the future. Thanks for being on the show, mate. See you all later.